Okay, so today I'm going to go over how to run a Facebook ads campaign sending to a survey. So in this case, this is a survey that you are trying to collect information from your customers about your business and trying to validate your business idea. The concept behind this is you want to learn as cheaply as possible before you invest a lot in the business. So if you feel comfortable with it, even if you don't know how to run ads, I would suggest trying to run this campaign on your own since it's not going to be terribly difficult. If you need to run ads for your business in the future and you don't know how to run ads, that's when I would definitely reach out to a professional because they'll get you better results um, than for a lot cheaper than you're likely to be able to if you haven't run ads before. Um, so for this, you need to have your ad account set up. Here I'm in Facebook's ad manager. This is an account that I haven't run much on. I've run a couple low budget tests because I don't have a site with a pixel yet. It's still kind of in the validation stage, which is perfect for this. We're going to set up a campaign for this validation survey. I, um, and I'll show you my suggested way. There's a couple other ways you can do it. I'll go over why I don't love those ways as we go through this process. But in a few scenarios, you might you might want to use a different variation. So make sure to pay attention to those to see if that applies to you. So when you're in Facebook Ads Manager, you come here and you want to click this Create button, which will create a new campaign. And then this window pops up that says Choose a campaign objective. For business validation surveys, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say use a traffic campaign. That will send as much traffic to your survey as possible for as cheap as possible. The downside of traffic is Facebook is just going to find the people who will click on your ad. So even if that's you'll get a few more spammy clicks and stuff like that. Facebook does a good job at filtering that out, but overall the traffic will be a little bit of a lower quality. But that's okay because you'll be getting enough traffic, and when you get the survey results, you should have plenty of results that you can filter out the bad ones and just look at your target market responses to the survey. There is one case where you might want to use conversions. And this is going to be rare, especially if it's an early on idea. You're trying to spend as little as possible and get as much information for that low ad spend. But if you are looking to collect a lot of data and you already have a store set up with a Facebook pixel set up and all your conversions set up, then you might want to run a conversions campaign. And in that case, you'll run them through the survey, and at the end, you'll want to offer that discount, that 40% off or whatever you offer to get people to take the survey. And then you probably won't be able to track survey responses unless you have the survey on your site, and then you can track it from there, in which case conversions could make sense as well. But with conversions, it would be best if you could track purchases. And that way you'd be getting the highest quality traffic. The reason I don't suggest this for most people is most of the time you're trying to get 100, 200 responses, cutting it off and learning what you can from those responses. And in just a couple hundred responses, you're not going to get many people who even click to your site. And those who do, how many are actually going to purchase? And so you're going to have so little data, and you'll be running the campaign for so short of a time that Facebook won't be able to optimize for the conversions. Your cost per click will be a lot more expensive, and you'll have to spend more money to get the same results as you would with traffic. So there are a few cases you could test conversions. 9 times out of 10 go with traffic. So when you start the traffic campaign, this is because it's to a survey and you probably don't have a pixel attached to the survey, and because it's going to be a short-term ad that you're running for probably just a few weeks. These are not best practices for running ads typically, but this is what I would suggest when you set up this campaign. So typically, you want to be running campaign budget optimization. Do not do it in this case. Uh, that would skew, especially if you're testing different audiences and trying to figure out what audience works best. That will skew your data towards one audience or the other, depending on who's most likely to click. So at this point, everything's pretty much set up. You'll want to name your campaign. Um, in this case, I won't actually be running this. It's set for traffic, and that campaign budget optimization is turned off. So you can go ahead and click next or click over to the ad set. Once you're in the ad set, so the ad set is where you set up the audience for your Facebook campaign. Unless you have a really good idea and you know exactly who your audience is, you should be testing a couple audiences. And even if you know exactly who your audience is, you should probably be testing a few. But if you're not quite sure, this is a great time for you to test different segments or different interest audiences that you think might be interested in your product. So for that, let's say one of my potential audiences is, let's say, like moms of teens. And so then when you come down here, because we turned off the campaign budget optimization, you'll have to set up the daily budget for each of these. I don't know. I would suggest running the whole campaign for $150, meaning that, and you probably want to run the campaign over at least 2 weeks. So if you have 3 audiences, so 150 divided by 14, I don't know, what is that? So that's, if we do 10 a day, would that work? I don't know. Let's just say in this case, we'll do $3.50 per day per audience. And that doesn't seem like a lot. It will work for this case. If it's not working, it's okay to bump that budget up. But obviously, you want to keep the budget as low as you can. And so that will set the budget. You can set an end date if you want it to end at exactly 2 weeks. I'd rather just keep an eye on it, view how many survey responses you get, and then end it when you have the data that you want. Come in here, you change your location. You can get super specific with location targeting. In this case, I'll just leave it at the US, but you can get it down to even zip codes, depending on what your ad content is. If it's more, there are certain ads that you couldn't get that specific for, but you can get really specific. You can get really broad there. You can change ages, change gender. In this case, if I'm targeting moms with this audience, I'll be targeting women, and then I can come in and say parents of 13 to 17-year-olds. Perfect. And that's 1.8 million. If I want to narrow it, you'll probably want to narrow it to more narrow than this. So I might even want to expand this a little bit. Maybe go down to 9 to 12 and maybe include 18 to 26 as well. Depending on if I think that's going to be part of it. And then you can throw in, maybe they're interested in, I don't know, moms who like Vans, like the shoe company. And then throw in Converse, and you can throw in other brands. Get that. For this, you probably want to keep your audience size like a little less than 1 million is okay. Probably want to keep it between 1 and 2 million because you're running on a lower budget. And then you can, from here, duplicate that to make your next audience. I won't go through the whole process, but you can just duplicate it. That will be the same. Actually, pro tip, you probably want to duplicate it after you've made the ad. That way the ad will just carry over with that, because the ad will be duplicated as well. And then you can make your 2 other audiences to test. When you get into the ad section, this is it's like don't overthink the ads, honestly, for this. You should come in and have imagery. I don't know, just throw something quick together on Canva that shows very simply what your product is, and what your offer is. Because if it's like a product, if you're selling shoes, you should offer a big discount to really entice people to come click on it. If you don't have a product to sell yet, then obviously you can't do that. Um, but this would work best if you have at least some beta products up available for purchase, because then you might actually make a little bit of revenue back, and even if they don't buy, seeing a big percentage off can be a convincing point to them for them to click and finish the survey even if they don't end up buying. So when you get here, make sure that your Facebook page, Instagram account is connected if they're connected. Um, Single image or video. I wouldn't really play around with carousel or collection for this kind of ad. Throw in your media. This is all pretty self-explanatory. You can just go in there, add the image, and then upload it from your computer from there. So I'm not going to go through the whole process of making the ad. I will give you the main tips for writing the ad, though. You want to be very clear and very to the point for this type of ad. There are times in the future when you're trying to sell products that you'll want to test longer copy, or you can test different things. In this case, you want to keep it really clear and to the point. Really, you just want them to get three things across to them. Basically, what is your product, and just name what your product is or what problem it solves. That way, if that resonates with that person, they're more likely to click on the ad. Those are the kind of people you want to click on the ads. So that's probably one of the first things you should include, whether that's in the headline, first line of the primary text, or on the image that you use, or all three, or two of the three. Include it so that it catches people's eyes that resonate with that problem. That way you're getting the right traffic to your survey. The next thing that you really want to push and make sure that they understand is that this is a survey. A lot of people, they'll see this product, they'll like the idea, they'll click your ad without reading all of it, and they'll expect to go to a product page where they can buy it. Which that's a good sign, because that means your product is at least interesting to them, if it's at the right price point. But right now you're trying to get information, and so you want to make sure it's super clear that you are sending them to a survey, and be realistic about how much time the survey will take. When you write your survey, try to keep it 5 minutes or less. But if it is a longer survey, don't say 5 minutes just to get them to click on it when it's actually a 10 or 15-minute survey, because then you're going to be getting a lot of people who start but don't finish. You'll be getting a lot of complaints in the comments and in your survey results saying that your survey is too long, or that they just wanted to see products. So to avoid that, make sure you're very clear about that this is a survey, and the length of the survey. And then the last thing, obviously, you want to push is the benefit that they're going to be getting from the survey. If you don't have any specific offer, try to think of something that you can give them, even if it's just saying, hey, you'll get early access when we release. If you're selling something, give them a discount. Find something that's in it for them, so that they want to click on it. And maybe if that survey is just 2 questions too long for them, they might have in the back of their mind, oh, I'll get 40% off this product. I'll just keep going through it, and then you'll get more filled out surveys, which is really what you're looking for. I think the ad is, as far as in Facebook, it's pretty straightforward, but there is a lot to go into and think about with what is going on in these people's heads as they're scrolling through Facebook. And that's what you want to keep top of mind as you're writing your ad. But follow that 3-step process. Make sure those 3 things are very clear just at a glance with the ad, and you should be pretty good. So, with that being said, just a quick overview. When you run this campaign, use a traffic campaign, set a budget for each individual audience or ad set, and test different audiences there. And you want to set that equal budget with them because that will give you at least close to equal traffic. Or at the very least, if it's not close to equal traffic, it will show you, hey, this audience gets way cheaper clicks than this audience. So even if your data in the survey is a little skewed to one audience, you at least are saying, hey, I spent the same amount of money here, and that at least tells you that the audience is probably a little more interested, even though it could be other factors. But it's something to consider and throw into the whole mix of all the data. And then with the ad, just include those three things: that this is a survey, that they have something in it for them, whether that's a discount or early access, and just what your product is, so that it catches those people's eyes. This is a really simple campaign to run. It's short term. You're going to be spending $100, $200 on it, so it's not a huge spend. And so I think this is something that, if you want to start a business and you may be using Facebook ads, this is a great way to kind of dip your toe into the water of Facebook ads. But it's also something that can keep your costs down while you're trying to validate a business idea if you don't know how to run ads, because this is something that just follow that process and you should get good enough results to your survey. And if you don't, it's probably more likely that people just aren't interested in the product than you mess up on the ads. So that's it. If you have any questions about this, don't feel like do feel free to reach out to me. If you ran a campaign and it didn't work, uh, send me an email, send me some screenshots. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll leave some details down there that you can reach out to me on. Uh, if you're on the website, my details are on the website, and you can reach out to me there. I'm happy to help. Um, but yeah, that should be it. It's really not that hard of a process. If you haven't run ads before, don't be scared of this. It should be good. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you next time.